Howdy champs, my name is Mohit, and guys, in this tutorial I'm gonna touch upon a very important subject: how to use classes and IDs in your HTML document. What exactly are IDs, what are they used for, what are classes, what are they used for. This is what I'm gonna talk about today. Alright guys, I'm using Dreamweaver 5.5. Let me start the tutorial by clicking on File New button. Okay, I'm presented with a dialog box which allows me to choose different layouts. I'm going to select none, right? I'm going to change the doc type from XHTML1 transitional, which is the default. I'm going to change it to the latest HTML doc type, which is the HTML5. All right, the rest everything else I'm going to keep just the same. I'm going to hit the create button, guys. Right, guys, the first thing that I would want to do is I would want to give it a title and save the document. Have a look out here. I'm in the code view, guys. I could have been in the split or the design view too. It's best to be in the split view for the moment. So let me go to the split view. Guys, also have a look that I'm using the classic workspace, my favorite workspace. Alright. Now guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this document a title. Right. So I'm going to type classes and IDs. Cool. Let me save the document up. Usually the first file we save it as index.html. Alright, so I'm going to keep it at index. Right. Now guys, what exactly are classes and IDs and why do we use them? Classes and IDs are used to identify the elements or the tags on an HTML page. Right. The IDs are used just once per document, per page. And the classes can be used multiple times, many times on the same page. That's the one major difference between how you use classes and IDs. Otherwise, both classes and IDs are used to lend different styles to the different tags, to the divs, okay, etc. So basically, both are used for creating rules to style, but the chief difference, the main difference, the big difference is that IDs can be used just once per page, whereas classes can be used multiple times. Also, there's one major difference. You have to put a full stop or a dot or a period before your classes, but that is not the same. You put a hash sign or a pound sign before the IDs. Anyways guys, things will become much more clear as I start. So let me what I'm gonna do is, let me first show you my local site folder. Here on the desktop, guys, this folder is my local site folder. Let me open it up. It has an images folder. Let me open it up for you. It has a PNG folder inside it. Let me open up that one as well. Guys, you can see that there are a lot of images out here. I'm gonna use these images, some of these images, to show you how classes and IDs actually work. All right. So back to Dreamweaver, guys, let me open up here in the local files. Let me open up the images folder and the PNG folder. Let me drag out three images first. So that's the first one. All right. It's never a good idea to skip the alternate text, but for this tutorial I'm going to skip it, so which is again optional. That's the first image. Here comes the second image, and this is the third image. All right. Let me save the document up once again. So that's the file and a save. Alright. Next guys, what I'm going to do is, let me select the first image, and then let me go to the code view. Guys, have a look out here that embedded between the body tags we have the img src tags. Alright, we have the image tags which have the src attributes which are actually pointing to the images. So the about.png is inside the images folder, which is which has a png folder which hosts the about.png file. Right. So guys, I'm gonna use a class out here, and let me type the class attribute. Class is an attribute, guys, so that's a class, and let me give the class a name. Let's say extra left margin. You could have chosen a different name, guys, and that's absolutely legitimate. Just do not use spaces, right? So extra left margin. And out here for the second image, guys, I'm going to use a different class name. That's a class, and I'm going to say extra right margin. All right, or it could simply be left margin and right margin. All right. Right, so these are the names of the classes that I've chosen for these images. And as far as the third one is concerned, I'm not give it a class. I'm not going to give it a class right now. So guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the cursor is blinking where I have actually typed left margin. And after that, guys, I'm going to click on this plus button to create a new class. Automatically, guys, Dreamweaver is pretty intelligent, understands that I wish to create a class, and it auto populates the selector name as well as the contextual selector. Set the contextual selector to a class, and the selector name is set to a dot or a period. Okay, then you have the left margin. It's automatically selected the name for me, which is just fine. All right. I would want my rules to be saved in an external style sheet, not this document only. If I choose the option this document only, it'll get saved in the head of the document. Inside, it'll be an internal or an embedded style sheet, but I would want it to be saved externally. So I'm going to choose the option new style sheet. Let me say OK, and then I need to give the style sheet a name. Let me call my external style sheet. Right, let me say save. And after which, guys, I need to define the class left margin. Right, since it's an image, I really don't need to define the font size, font family, etc. But what I can do is I can go to the box category, and I would want to give it a left margin. So I'm going to come off this check box, and I'm going to say left, let's say 100 pixels. All right, and then I'm going to say OK straight away, and let's see how this actually impacts the document. If I go to split view, guys, you can actually see that this first picture has actually been displaced from the left hand side of the page by 100 pixels, but that is not true for the second and the third image. All right, that's not the case with the second and the third image. Right, let me save the document up once again. All right, and this time, guys, as far as the second image is concerned, I have attached an attribute class, and the class I've named as right margin. Let me define the class right margin, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click anywhere between right margin. All right, then I'm going to click the plus button, and automatically the contextual selector as well as the name, the selector name, the right margin, has been picked up by the very intelligent Dreamweaver. You can also notice that the rule is getting saved itself in the my external style sheet, the external style sheet. If I go to the local site folder, guys, you can notice that this is the index.html on which I'm working right now, and this is the external style sheet sitting next to it and linked to the index.html. All right, so everything is fine. I'm going to say OK, define the class right margin, and I'm going to go to the box category, guys. I'm going to go to the margins, and this time, as far as the right margin is concerned, margins create space outside, guys. Padding creates a cushion inside the element. So I'm going to create a space outside. I'm going to say right margin of 200 pixels, and then I'm going to say OK. And guys, notice that since this second image has a cushion, has a right margin of 200 pixels, it's actually pushed the third image away. And since this image, the first image, has a left margin of 100 pixels, it's pushed itself away from the wall by 100 pixels. So guys, this first image has the class left margin, which is inside my external style sheet.css. The right margin says that the right margin should be 200 pixels, which means that this third image got pushed away from the second image, because the second image creates a space outside of 200 pixels. If I see it in the browser right now, let's see how it actually looks. And just coming up now, guys. So this has a left margin of 100, whereas the second one has a right margin of 100 pixels. Cool. Now guys, have a look out here. When I click on the very first image, and if you were to have a look out here in the properties pane or the properties panel, you can see that the present class is left margin. Similarly, if I were to click on the second image, you can actually have a look that the current class is right margin. Guys, what I can do is I can actually swap the classes very easily. What I can do is, instead of right margin, I can say left margin out here, and see the change that's actually happened. This is the class left margin, this is the class left margin, and this, if I click on it, guys, you can notice that the class is set to none. And I can go to the very first image and I can swap the class. I can change it to right margin. So have a look out here. Things actually look a lot different than they looked a while ago. This one has a right margin which extends up to this point, and then this one has a left margin which starts somewhere around here. Okay, so the gap between the first and the second image is due to the right margin of the first image and left margin of the second image. So this space is actually 300 pixels, guys. And since this does not have a class, you can actually have a look out here in the properties pane. It's clinging very close to the second image. Let me show you a preview in Google Chrome after saving the changes to the index.html. And so this gap is 200 plus 100, that makes it 300, and very cool. Alright, so guys, what I can do is, if I select the let's say the third image, I can just drop down here in the properties pane and I can choose any of the classes. I can either choose left or right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's say, choose left and see what happens out here. Okay, so this is 100 pixels, or I can choose right. And since I've chosen right, guys, this has created a space out here that you cannot see right now unless and until I actually bring in a fourth picture. If I get in a fourth picture, try to place it out here, and you'll notice that it actually gets pushed away by 200 pixels, guys, since this has a class of right margin. Alright, so is it that with classes I can just apply margins? No, you can apply a lot of things. You can apply borders, you can apply padding, you can apply a lot of, almost all the properties in HTML. Alright, I'm using margins just for the sake of this tutorial, just as an example, but you could have applied any other property. You could have applied the opacity property, you could have applied the display property. Alright, for example, let's say I would want to attach a class to the fourth image. Alright, and this one. So what I'm going to do is, let me go to the split view for the time being. Alright, this is the fourth image, right, and I'm going to use the class attribute, and let's say I would want to set my, I'm going to set it to inv for invisible. Let's say I would want to have a class of inv. Alright, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the new Css Styles. Automatically the contextual selector is class, the selector name is inv, is getting saved itself in the external style sheet.css file. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to go to the block category. I'm going to set the display to none, and I'm going to say okay. And if I go to the split view, guys, you can actually see the fourth image has vanished, simply because when you set the display of an object to display none, it actually hides it, makes it invisible. Alright, and there was one more way I could have done that. Let me go to the, let me double click on NB, let me go to the block category, guys. Let me set the display back, and let me just clear up the display. Okay, if I say okay, guys, you can see that the object has actually come back. I can actually go to the positioning category, I can go to the visibility section, I can make it hidden like this as well. Okay, if I go to the live view, guys, you can actually see that the object has hidden itself. So there are two ways in which I can actually use these classes. Now let's talk about IDs. Alright, first of all, guys, the classes and the IDs work in pretty much the same way. If I go to the code view, and not only that, guys, I can have for a specific tag an image and an ID as well. Alright, for example, if I say ID and let's give it a name border 1px, that's the name that I've chosen. You could have chosen a different name. And if I create a new CSS rule, guys, have a look out here that it's created an ID with a hash sign, a pound sign, and it's getting saved in the external style sheet.css file. I'm gonna say okay. I'm gonna go to the border category. Let me say I would want solid 1px of pound sign 900 color border. If I say okay, and if I go to the split view, guys, you can actually have a look out here. For the first image, you have a thin border all around. So basically IDs work just the same way as the classes. Have a look out here that we have the pound sign, and then you have the border 1x. all right, so here we have the dot or the period just before the classes. So one way to distinguish the IDs in the classes is that they have a pound sign and the classes have a dot or a period. Okay, so we have understood that we can apply both borders and IDs and classes together. But what if they actually clash? I can go to the right margin and I can go to the border category, guys. I can apply, let's say, a solid 1px of, let's say, a blue colored border. All right, so have a look out here, guys, that since the first image has the ID border 1px, also has the class right margin, because of the class, just let me go to the code view, because of the class right margin, guys, it gets a blue border, but because of the ID border 1px, it gets the red border or the maroonish border. All right, but as you can see very clearly, guys, this image, since it has the ID as well as the class, the ID has taken precedence. But this image, since it just has the class right margin, has the blue border, because this does not have a class. So whenever there's a clash or a conflict, always remember that the ID will take the upper hand, and that's exactly what has happened. Since there's a clash between the blue and the red, since it's a part of the ID, has actually taken precedence. Even if I were to take this rule right at the top, let's say like this, okay, the ID is right at the top and right margin is at the bottom, things do not actually change. All right, in CSS, a lot of time it happens that the rule that was created towards the end actually takes precedence, but when it comes to a clash between the IDs and the classes, the ID will take the precedence, as you can see out here. So guys, just before I wrap the tutorial, let me once again tell you that the IDs and the classes are both used to style the tags or the web page, but the main or the chief difference is the IDs can be used just once per document on the same page. All right, but the classes can be used multiple times on the same page. For example, if I were to choose this image, all right, I can use the left margin or the right margin, you see, once again. So I can use the classes as many times as I want, but that's not the same with the IDs. IDs are used in a unique way. All right, so guys, I hope you like this tutorial, learn something from it, and I hope to see you very soon with yet another Dreamweaver or HTML tutorial. Could be Flash or ActionScript 3.2. You have a good day, guys. Bye bye. Peace.